Hi, my name's Katrina Jockety and welcome to Inspiration, celebrating successful women in business and the arts. On today's show, we chat with award-winning architect Clare Cousins, learn how to buy a piece of Paris from Ellie Nielsen, receive some financial advice from Sophie Roussos, get some tips on wellness from Susan Janevsky, and enjoy a night out at the opera. Hi, welcome to Inspiration. And today we're talking with renowned architect and interior designer Clare Cousins. Thanks so much for joining us today in your gorgeous house.
No problem.
So what inspired you to become an architect?
I sort of fell into architecture, I think. I studied maths and sciences at school and was really being pushed into, I think, pushed into sort of more of an engineering background, which I think would have driven me crazy. And I always had an interest in art and creativity, but didn't really study art at school. Did a lot more drama and music, but saw architecture as, I suppose, a merging of the sciences and the arts. So started architecture at RMIT, studied at RMIT straight after school, and did various exchanges to Berlin while I was studying, and worked for different architects and love it. So it's great. And then consequently you opened your own architecture firm. Yeah, so I started the architecture practice in 2005 after working for various architects and gaining experience with others. And I suppose I've always had a strong interest in interior design as well, sort of hence why we sort of operate, both sides of the business, but also see them as a very integral part of one another. So the way we approach buildings and spaces, we sort of look at it very much from an interior designer's perspective as well as an architect's.
Do you have a particular style or philosophy when you design?
I'm not sure whether we try not to necessarily have a distinctive style. We like our work to really reflect our clients' feeling and sort of way of life and whatnot, but we still have probably a philosophy as to how we approach each project. Like I said before, it's really about gaining a good understanding of what the client is wanting, and then starting and looking from the interior and working out. Material selection in a project is really sort of key for us. A really great interest in using a lot of raw and natural materials, and materials in their what we call honest state. And by honest we mean sort of non-fake or not covered or veneered or
covered on too much.
Yeah, that's right. So really expressing materials in their natural form.
So you have two gorgeous little girls, Ivy 11 weeks old and Ginger 3. How on earth do you manage it?
It's a real juggle, but I love it. I wouldn't really have it any other way. So I always toyed with whether I would have go into partnership with a business partner, but I think finding the right partner is like a marriage. You really have to find the perfect person, and so in a way, I suppose a little bit selfishly, I thought it was almost easier trying to do it by myself so that I can choose to do things the way I want to do them, whether I ramp up the business or ramp it back. My husband has his own practice or business, construction business as well, so he's very hands-on with the girls, and actually a great support to me. So because we've got quite comparative businesses or in the same sort of industry, and I have amazing family help, and so yeah. But life's pretty crazy.
What do you think a female architect can bring to a project?
I'd like to think that I would bring, women generally would bring a bit of softness to a project, even though I suppose a lot of our architecture or design projects have got a rawness to them. But at the same time, whether it be through soft lines or curves or the way that projects are finished with soft furnishings afterwards, that there's that sort of wholehearted consistency sort of throughout the project.
What's your biggest achievement so far?
As a general achievement, I think trying to balance both work and life and having the business, I'm really very proud of it. But other than that, we were involved or provided or created a housing design post Black Saturday, the bushfires. It was an Australian Institute Architects initiative, and provided designs that people who were affected could access the designs for free. And we had a couple contact us who'd lost their house out of Yarra Glen, and met with them, and the principle was that they just took sort of a concept design away and then went away and sort of implemented it themselves. Whereas it's a beautiful site, and we really sort of felt a strong rapport with these clients. So ended up offering pro bono services to complete and fully document the project. So it's been a really satisfying process to be able to provide a service to people who potentially probably wouldn't have been able to engage an architect, and also following them going through quite a traumatic ordeal.
And so who inspires you?
Inspiration comes from other designers, architects, photographers, artists. I do often look to other female, sort of whether they be contemporaries or people like even Ray Eames back in the 50s, where she was really sort of pioneering mass production of furniture, and she and her husband Charles were designing mass-produced housing and those sorts of things. And so I think it's really interesting to see how women were even coping with work back in those times when it was very much a male-dominated period. But travel is always a really great time when we can get away to be inspired, and I think anyone that does anything well is sort of an inspiration, whether it be food or, so it's just keeping your eyes open and often looking at some things that are simple and obvious, but sometimes the best things are the simplest things.
It was a pleasure talking with you today, Claire, and thank you, and until next time, be inspired.